Hello, good afternoon, my lovely Justice Warriors. So I'm having that same issue again today with the black screen, and I actually really liked it yesterday. There's just one small problem. I don't want to give it the time of day to talk about it, but it is funny, so I'll just go ahead and say it. If you didn't notice, you probably did. I have this like weird little triangle on my near my navel, like a part of my belly is showing, and it's a small part, and it's no big deal. Annie's here, but when I saw that, I'm like, of course, on the one day that I can't see my screen, like literally, it's the only time I've ever made a live where I couldn't see myself. But now today's the second time. But I don't think I'm gonna have a wardrobe malfunction today. Fingers crossed. And it's no big deal. Like I could just pretend that I was trying to show off my little piece of my belly, but I tried to blur it out. And uh, at first, I thought I was able to do that, but then it blurred out some other stuff too. So I deleted the edits, and it's just up the way it is. And I'm like trying not to worry about it, but I'm also trying to figure out how to edit that out. So, it's always something. How are you, Annie Ruler? How's your day going? Are you in Mexico? It is just about 1:36, and it's March 26th. It's Tuesday, last time I checked, I think. It's so hard to keep track of the days, especially when people are on spring break. And so I have a full house. So I'm going to just warn you guys if there's noise. I'm not so worried about you guys hearing the noise. It's just that it completely derails my thought process. So it might take me a minute because it's only a matter of time, even though I ask people very kindly to keep the noise down. You know how people are. They like to make noise or they forget or whatever. I mean, I know I do the same thing. So I don't have to be uptight about it. I'm just going to explain myself. Please make sure you're still subscribed. Share the video if you like it. Turn on your notification bell if you want. Yes, Sunny Cabo, 73 today. Woohoo! Annie, I'll be honest. 73 is just a little too warm for me. My ideal temperature, I'm really picky. I think it's 67 to be precise. I can handle a degree under, a degree over, but I am really picky. So once it's in the low 70s, I'm like overheating. I've just kind of been like that my whole life. I don't know why. I think it's like the European in me because when I lived in the Seattle area, it was pretty much perfect there, and it's a very dark, dreary place for a lot of Americans that have migrated there over the last 30 years. Just a little trivial piece of information. When I lived there, I moved there in 87, and I first moved to Olympia, Washington when I was like 19 or 20 to continue my college. Like I transferred from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio to the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. It was right before my 20th birthday. So it was a very exciting move. And it was before moving to Seattle was like a trend. So over the next couple of years, moving to Seattle became a huge trend. Probably in about 1990 to 91, there was like a big billboard downtown Seattle that said how many people moved to Seattle in a day. And I forget what it is now, but it was something like 5,000. It was crazy. That was just to King County. King County is where the city of Seattle is. And I was a couple counties south. I was in Thurston County, which was just like podunk, even though it was the state capital. Never thought that the growth would hit Pierce County and Thurston County, and even north of there, Snohomish County. Anyway, or west of there, which was Kitsap County. And yeah, tangent, I know. Annie Ruler says, we just had windy days, 70 degrees. We freeze and do not go to beach, sweatshirts. Right. I know. That's how like people in Florida are. They're like, it's freezing. It's 70 degrees. So, all right, where shall I begin other than like the creepy thumb that I dropped again and it chipped? So I don't know what you guys can see in that screen because it's blank. And I'm telling you, it was a huge like bonus to have my screen be black like it is now, so I can like stare right into your eyes, not see myself, not get self-conscious. Um, but when I tried that yesterday, it was just too funny with the shirt thing. So hopefully I can get that edited out. If not, no big deal. I mean, that's the whole thing with going live and doing YouTube is like you fly by the seat of your pants. You got to be flexible. You got to be humble. You got to just roll with it. You got to laugh at yourself, right? That's a huge part of it. So, what else? There was something else I wanted to point out. Of course, the creepy white thumb that I keep pushing further away so it's not as creepy and not as white. And then I showed you guys the cool black rainbow thing yesterday, and I know that that was an interesting item for some people to check it out. It was interesting to me when I found it because I didn't see it as like a file organizer. I saw it as like a super cool piece of art, and so that's why I purchased it, and that's what I use it for. But you know, I do that. I have all kinds of cool, crazy stuff all over my studio here and all over my house. So I'm constantly trying to organize it and get rid of it and keep it down to a dull roar. And I'm constantly collecting more cool stuff because that's just what you do. Um, I wanted to share with you guys before getting into some true crime a little bit about Marie Kondo. You know the KonMari method. Isn't that how you say it? She wrote that book, The Life Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and it became all the rage. And people were just laughing at it. My biggest joke was that I had the book, but I couldn't find it. And I was serious. Like I bought the book and then it got lost in my house for like a year. And people were talking about it all the time. They'd be like, "Oh, have you read that book?" And I'd be like, "Well, I bought it, but then I lost it somewhere in my house. So as soon as I find it, I'll read it." And they would think that I was like just being a smartass, but I was being serious. So finally it showed up one day. The minute it showed up, I'm like, I need to read this damn thing. I call it surfacing, when something like surfaces in the house that you haven't seen in 20 years. And we do have a lot of stuff. And, we have a lot of kids. And then when when I had to move her out of her apartment, and then when she passed away and I had to move everything out of her room at the skilled nursing facility, is just an influx of stuff, and it's hard to keep it organized. And you don't want to hold on to things that you're not using. It's bad feng shui. So I studied feng shui back in around 1999 2000. I remember it very well because it was the same year that things went toe up on my fast track of my corporate ladder climbing in my career. And I really believe everything happens for a reason. But the theory behind feng shui is the same theory behind Marie Kondo, and it's the same theory as Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect, which is that, and it's the same thing with acupuncture theory too. Everything in our lives influences us, and the space that we're in influences us. And that if we own too much stuff, if we have too much clutter, it literally clutters our mind and bogs us down. So less really is more. The less stuff you own, the less stuff you have to worry about or to concern yourself with. And then what you do own, it's really important to keep things where you can find them. I'll be honest, I still have this trouble every day. Like, I know that I saw something and that I see it regularly, but I can't put a finger on where it is. So why is it that I don't just like grab it when I see it and then put it in a special drawer? Anyway, where was I? Annie says, get rid of it and buy some more. Exactly, Annie Ruler. See, I used to make fun of my mom when I was a teenager because she would never buy anything because she'd say, I already have one at home. I just don't know where it is. So I'll have to find it. And that was like our big joke. Downsize and gave away most things in 2013. Isn't it so freeing? I do it a lot. So I try to purge, like seriously, as a mother of four, And especially with, like I said, the influx of my own mother's possessions over the last, it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago to be exact, that I moved her out of her apartment and then into the skilled nursing facility. And then it was only 2 years ago moving her stuff out of there because she passed. And God rest her soul. You know, it was 2 years on March 8th. So just past the 2 year anniversary. It's still so hard. It's still so heartbreaking. But I was glad that I moved her out of her apartment before dealing with the grief of losing her, because that's a lot. And this is a monkey wrench that a lot of people suffer from, is when they lose somebody that they love and they have all their stuff. So it's maybe a good talking point here on my true crime channel, because when people lose a spouse and they have so much trouble, like letting go of their clothing, their socks, their underpants, things that they don't need, but it's so emotional to let that stuff go. And it can be very freeing to let it go, but it brings stuff up, as you guys can imagine. How many people have we heard about? And, you know, I pray for anybody who's ever lost a child, that when they have a child that passes, they literally close the door on that child's bedroom and it's like a shrine and they don't touch it for like 20 years. I've heard that story many times and I can only imagine. And hopefully, none of us will ever have to endure that. It's just, I say it goes against the rules of nature. We are supposed to pass away before our children pass away, period. Damn it. Um, but it's a very emotional process. So back to Marie Kondo, her thing that people were buzzing about a few years ago, it was probably about 10 years ago, and everybody loved it, was this whole idea that everything you own, you need to hold it in the palm of your hand and ask yourself, does this spark joy? So let's do it with the pumpkin, with Gabby Petito's pumpkin. Does this crocheted or knitted pumpkin spark joy? Absolutely. So I'm going to keep it right here. Okay. It's not going anywhere. Hopefully. Um, and let's see, what about something as innocuous as my black Sharpie? Does this spark joy? I wouldn't say that it sparks joy, but what I do with it a lot of times sparks joy, because I can use it creatively or whatever. So yeah, those are the things you keep. You have your giveaway pile and you have your maybe pile. And in Marie Kondo's theory, you go through your entire house like inch by inch, section by section, but you only do it in bite-sized pieces. And this is going to take you 6 months at least. So don't try to do it all at one time. It's not possible. And then in my world, with kids moving in and out of the house as they are getting their own places and becoming young adults, I say that once I'm done with the process, then I get to go back to the beginning and continue it. So it's like this continual cycle that really my aim, I strive to routinely go through everything in the house at least once a year, if not twice a year. So lately I've been doing that with my wardrobe and I'm almost done, and it's thrilling because you know how much cool stuff you own that you can't find it, or you even forgot you even owned it. Yeah, I'm a clothes horse. I'll be the first to admit it. Anyway, so Marie Kondo is only 39 right now. She made it big. She hit the big time. She got really famous. She really helped people change their lives with this life-changing magic of tidying up. And I actually really do believe in it, with like what I was saying about Frank Lloyd Wright and feng shui and acupuncture. And when you move stuff in your life, when you move things, physical stuff, you're really shaking up your psyche, your psychology. Oh man, what happened? Stop it. I got to keep I need to keep highlighting your messages, Annie, so that the screen so that I can see the live chat, because otherwise the whole screen goes blank if you don't touch it for a while. Damn technology, man. It keeps me on my toes. I visit my furniture, pots and pans when I visit friends and family. Warm memories. That's cute, Annie. I love that. And yeah, I like to say just because I love it, it doesn't mean I have to keep it. Like I can love something and give it away. I can love something and, if it's just not possible to have everything in your home that you love, right? Um, so it's nice to do that. I love the way you said that. An acquaintance sat is her past. An acquaintance sat in her past son's room, wearing his football jersey, crying all night, lost everything, not working, very was sad. Oh, that is so devastating. Oh, like I said, hopefully none of us will ever have to live through that kind of thing. It's so sad. It's so crazy. And we talk about all of these people who have lost their lives in true crime, and we talk about their families. Sometimes their families are under scrutiny, I'd say for good reason. And sometimes families use that as a defense. Like, well, don't question us because we've lost our child. And of course, nobody wants to question somebody who's lost a child. And sometimes people are wrongly accused. And at the same time, I would think if you lost somebody that you love, you would still come to understand and appreciate that people are trying to figure out what's really going on out of a good place, not out of a vindictive place of trying to hurt a family member, but out of a good place of trying to make sure that the truth is being discovered, because there's so much effery, there's so much trickery. And I'm so sorry about your friend. And it's really healing to cry and to absorb their energy and to sit in their space and wear their clothes, I would imagine. But then there's times where you can't continue to do that, is just going to tear you up. So finding that balance, it's all about the balance. And yeah, I think that's nice to keep the room encapsulated like a shrine, but also to reinvent it and maybe use it for something creative or healing if you can. I mean, it's different for every single person, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. So, I don't want to get rid of my mother's stuff. I've continually, over the past 12 years, tried to purge more of my own stuff to make room for my mother's stuff, because it does have a lot of sentimental value. And, other people that love her and care about her, I like to pass some of her stuff on so that they can remember her too. But some of it is just not practical, and I have to let it go. And it is hard, but you're doing yourself a favor to free yourself up like that. Um, so, what I wanted to mention about Marie Kondo, because she was so brilliant and she made such a great success at such a young age in her life, is that she still, I kind of like to keep tabs on her and her work, what she's doing. She still considers herself as overcoming imposter's syndrome, which is something that I learned in graduate school, becoming credentialed to become a psychotherapist. And I think even it can apply to parenting, it can apply to having a YouTube channel, it can apply to anything as we grow and change. Like I could probably apply it to my yoga teacher certification. Is that there's always this part of you that feels like this is just a mask that you're putting on, and that you're not really a yogi, you're not really a content creator, you're not really a grown up, you're an imposter, and people may find out and declare you a fraud. And in a sense, again, that's very humbling, and we all are just inventing the wheel as we go and figuring it out as we go. And I think that it's important to keep that in mind and to balance that with that your experience and your perspective is valid and people like to hear it, right? I mean, I know that when I started my channel, part of what motivated me, and it was the Kylie Rodney case, as you guys know, part of what motivated me to finally do it, because I'd been thinking about it and talking about it for a while. And I couldn't find what I was looking for on YouTube when I was trying to learn more about what was happening with Kylie Rodney's case. So this would be going back to late August of, mid to late August of 2022. Or was it 2023? It was 2022. The years all blend together. And I can't do math. So anyway, we know that she disappeared August 6th, 2022, and then her remains were discovered by AWP on August 21st. And I thought that I missed my window of opportunity to start a channel. I've said this a few times in different videos. I thought, oh, she's been found. So now, the case will wrap up, right? And when it didn't, when that wasn't happening over the next few days and it was more like blowing up, that's when I was like, I've got to make my channel. This is ridiculous. And I've got to talk about the things that I see that I don't see other people talking about. So I find that that's sort of like what's been happening lately with the, and forgive me, again, I want to be very delicate. If Princess Kate has cancer and it's as simple as her having cancer, then, I will eat all the humble pie in the world and apologize profusely. But this situation seems very odd in a lot of ways. And some of those ways are very simple, straightforward, like the timing of it. And how long she was out of the spotlight and then making this 2-minute pre-recorded video. Like, it's weird, you guys. It's so weird. There's so much about the case is so weird. And I don't want to belabor it. I don't really want to talk about that case very much today. I spent most of yesterday's video talking about it. I pray for her that she is in a safe situation and that she is on the mend and that everything's fine and that it's just a bunch of hogwash and speculation about William having an affair and their marriage being in trouble and the royal family trying to control everything. But I mean, isn't that like the oldest story in the book? Seriously? I mean, it's deranged. Let me get a drink of coffee and try to gather my thoughts. Is it just me and you, Annie, still? Where's my people? But I love you. Thank you. And it's fun just having it me and you. I know Shan is on a live. I know Ara is at work. I know one or two of my other mods are at work. And I think in my live yesterday, I don't think I had any mods drop in. So, yeah, they probably would have texted me, is that your belly button showing? So let's see. Oh, there's a whole bunch of comments. See, there is something's going on with my computer, you guys. And I can't help but wonder. Like, it could be anything, but could it be because of the cases that I cover? Let's see. You and I started together. I had watched Heard versus Depp. And see, I didn't pay that much attention to Heard versus Depp, so I don't really know the ins and outs, Annie Ruler. And I tell you, I've gotten spooked about Johnny Depp. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get distracted right now. I'm trying to stay focused. It's too weird, Monica Michelle says. And thank you, Monica Michelle, for being here also. Let's see. Annie says, the woman named Kate that was out was an inch or two taller. Oh, she is a really tall woman. Kate Middleton, and then she wears heels. And I don't know. I was going to Google how tall is Kate Middleton. Do we know? Let me just Google that real quick because I meant to and I got distracted. How tall? You guys know that Taylor Swift is super tall. She's like 5'11". And it's funny to me that most people don't know that. Catherine is 5'9". That's pretty tall. I used to be 5'8". I'm 5'7" now. I have a very tall daughter who's about 5'10". Um, and I think of her more like 6 feet. My mother was like 6 feet before she got older, and we lose some height as we age. So the woman named Kate that was out was an inch or two taller, in my opinion. So I thought that the woman that was out at the market looked taller and thinner than Kate. But like I said, I didn't want to focus so much on Kate Middleton today. I wanted to talk more about the Watts case and also Kylie Rodney's case. I don't think I can talk about the Nickelodeon crap, you guys. I finished up the 4-part series of that yesterday, and it is freaking god awful. Absolutely god awful. What's it called? Quiet on Set, which is what I was trying to tell my family before I came on live here. Let's see. My stepson days body doubles are used. Kardashian's model sis has a guy with surgery to be a girl doppelganger. Right. And I think people were talking about Kate Middleton having men be doppelgangers for her because she's so tall and slender. And it's hard to find somebody who looks like her who's that tall and that slender. It's going to be easier to put a man in drag that is of that same stature. Absolutely. And yeah, body doubles are a normal thing actually for wealthy, famous people for many reasons. Some of it is like decoys for safety. Other things are like when you're making a movie like Alec Baldwin, you need to have I'm trying to make sure everything's plugged in. You need to have a body double to do all your blocking and your set. And then, you then let the actor relax or sleep or do whatever it is that they need to do, and then you bring them on just for the shoot, no pun intended, right? So body doubles are a very normal thing, Annie Ruler, and I haven't spoken that much on my channel about the whole thing with Paul McCartney's alleged body double from the 60s that you guys have probably heard the conspiracy theory that Paul McCartney died in a car accident, and that to this day, the person that poses as Paul McCartney is just that, just a poser. So again, I don't want to get caught up in that story. It's something that you can Google and fall into a rabbit hole for hours or days or months or years. But it is fascinating, and it makes me wonder because I don't know. I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory or not. There's a lot of evidence to support it. Things like heights changing overnight. The whole thing with Jane Asher, I think was his fiance's name, who's still alive. There's lots and lots and lots of arguments to support that the real Paul McCartney passed away in a car accident. And they wrote a bunch of songs about it too. And they put a bunch of information in Abbey Road on the cover in the songs, and Sgt. Pepper's on the cover and in the songs. But like I said, trying to stay focused here. If that is true about Paul McCartney, and they've been able to get away with it successfully for well over 55 years, then why wouldn't they think that they could do it with somebody as high profile as Kate Middleton? I mean, I don't think you could have gotten higher profile than Paul McCartney. And so I don't know if the British have a special affinity for doppelgangers. It kind of seems like maybe, I don't know. I do not know. It's a question. Do the British have a special affinity for doppelgangers so that they can just gaslight everybody and say, no, we don't know what you're talking about? Yeah, they just changed like that. Um, you know, while I was making my live yesterday and I showed you guys the little TikTok video on my phone, I went back and watched that. And, the big thing that people were talking about was Kate Middleton's rings disappearing while she was talking, or her one ring. Sorry, just one ring. And I went back and watched that, and I didn't really see it disappear. I saw it like go behind her knee, and I saw when she turned her hand. And there are optical illusions that happen with the camera. So I wouldn't say necessarily that that ring wasn't on that person's finger. So that's just one point that I wanted to mention, because it seemed like that was something people were getting very hung up on. My point, and I know I keep saying I don't want to talk about the Kate Middleton scandal, potential scandal, or it is a scandal one way or another, because they're handling it very strangely. Um, my point is that nobody with abdominal surgery is going to be wearing jeans that zip up and then sitting upright on a very hard metal bench when she's a princess. She could be laying back on pillows and relaxing and have PR people deliver that information to the public. Like, that's what would normally happen. But the fact that they wanted to put her face out there, to me, is suspicious all by itself. Like, they didn't do anything like that with King Charles, but then he didn't disappear for 3 months. So it's odd. It's odd, odd, odd. And Bex is here. Hello, Bex. Depp and the young man that saved the city from dumpster fire during. I saw how media manipulated my liberal friends. And see, I have no idea what you're talking about, Annie. But I do try to stay on the straight and narrow, away from politics, especially as things are going to be ramping up with the election. That's just not my thing. And so I'd appreciate if we can try to leave that out, because I love doing this channel the way I want to do it. And every single content creator has the right to create their channel the way they want to. So, I respect you, Annie, and I'm not trying to shut you down at all. It's just that it's such a hot topic. So, Depp and the young man that saved the city from dumpster fire during, BLM, Black Lives Matter. I saw how media manipulated my liberal friends. And see, Black Lives Matter is something that I might be considered somebody in the latter part of your comment there, manipulated by media, because I am all about the Black Lives Matter and what happened with George Floyd. And, as you know, my husband is law enforcement, and I had been seeing that kind of thing far too much, too often, right at home. And it's not just with race; it's also very classist. So, yeah, I'm glad that whole BLM thing happened. But again, it quickly goes over into politics. So if we could try to leave that at the door and just meet here in true crime land, that would be fabulous. And I do value you so much, Annie. So tell me what your thoughts and feelings are about that, and I can respect it. Hello, Justice Warriors lurking. Put little man to sleep. Little man, what? He's probably like 2 now, Mrs. Amir. The behavior panel did the Kate video analysis. Oh no, I have no respect for these behavior panel and deception detective. I mean, to me, they're just sellouts. Like, they'll just say whatever they think is going to get them the most clicks and views and biggest paycheck. So I'm curious if that's how it went or what. Mary Stredwick, am I saying it right, Mary? Hello, dear friend. Hey, Jazz. Hey, chat. Broad shoulders and zero waist on the Kate filmed over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, that's how the real authentic Kate is built, though. Like, she has very broad shoulders and the tiniest waist and the tiniest hips. And if she's sick with cancer, then that's going to be even more pronounced. But yeah, I'm with you, Annie. I don't think it was her at all. I only heard about Paul McCartney from you. Will watch when bored. Oh, Annie, I'm a huge Beatles fan, and I like that went over my head for so many years. I think it was actually during COVID and during the whole Black Lives Matter thing that I kind of fell into that rabbit hole of studying up on it. And it's wild. Anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, all you have to do is Google Paul McCartney died, and it'll tell you because, you know, uh, the the real truth of what happened very well could be that he passed away in the 60s and that this other Paul McCartney was a Canadian police officer named Billy Shears, William Shears. I'm not kidding you. Not kidding you. I'm going to just stop myself there because I could really fall into that rabbit hole with you, Annie. It is interesting AF. So you don't need to be bored to get into it, but you do need to have some time. And then all the stuff about Jane Asher and the books that she's written. And I want to read her books. I still haven't, but I am planning on it in all of my free time. The Eunuchs, my stepson says, she had the surgery likely with days of entering hospital. She said she is in radiation or chemo. I can't remember. I think she said chemotherapy, which can be like pills. I think chemo can be radiation. Um, I've had people in my family battle cancer and survive for many, many years, and then eventually succumb to uh, complications with the treatment or the actual cancer. But the treatment is just as dangerous as the actual cancer, you guys, and it's hard on your system. Um, let's see, and she's missing her freaking mole. So did they remove that when they did the surgery? Give me a break. Or did they just cover it with makeup? I mean, anything's possible. Watching Depp be thrown under the bus like we see um, the Moscow police department manipulating the narrative. We'll see. I am a big fan of River Phoenix, and Depp owned the Viper Room. He was a part owner of the club that River Phoenix died at. And it seems that Johnny Depp may have had something to do with what happened to River Phoenix. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I get the willies talking about Johnny Depp because I used to like him. I mean, everybody loves Johnny Depp, right? But he dated Winona Ryder for 5 years. They had broken up. He still wasn't over her. And River Phoenix was just about to film a movie with her. And he was getting all the hot roles. And then he probably drank a concoction of Special K, is what I like to call it. That's what it was called back in the 80s before the whole ketamine thing, the H one. The drink was handed to him by John. How do you say his name? Frusca or something like that. John Fruscata. It's the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers who's really messed up. Let's see. I'll just say Chili Pepper Fruscata. I think Fruscata. I mean, he has been off and on. Oh, and it thinks I'm talking about cooking. So I'm talking about red hot chili peppers. Thank you very much. So it's R. Let me spell it. Fruscinte. What brought John Frusciante back to the Red Hot Chili Peppers? So anyway, John Frusciante, if I'm saying that right, I'm probably not. Frusciante. He is the one who handed River the last thing that he drank before he convulsed and died. And he died like in the Viper Room, but then they like dragged him outside and tried to say that he died outside the Viper Room. allegedly. Anyway, there's so much effery, you guys. There's so much manipulation. And the cool thing about media and social media is that information can be shared more freely, and hopefully the controlled fake narratives can be obliterated. So, I mean, I never believed that River Phoenix died from an accidental overdose of cold medicine, was what they tried to say at first. But it wasn't until the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial that I realized that Johnny Depp might not be a hero of mine, with what happened to the ever so lovely River Phoenix. So, and Johnny Depp wasn't very rich or famous back when that happened, too. I mean, he was on his way, but he wasn't anywhere near like the whole Pirates of the Caribbean success. And let's see. Media is given leads, in my opinion. Well, and this is what I'm wondering, Annie. Again, I keep trying to steer away from the Kate Middleton case. Right now, if the Kate Middleton case is a whole lot of propaganda and mainstream media is aware of that, but they're going ahead and feeding the public the fake narrative, we know that that's happened ever since media has been around. I mean, you guys have probably seen the movie The Post about the Washington Post and how that uh, whole thing went. It's a very, very murky gray area. He is 19 months old today, ma'am. Oh, congratulations. What a sweet time. So he's like starting to say a few words, and he's running around making mama really stressed out that he's going to like climb up some stairs and fall down them or pull a shelf on top of himself. You just can't take your eyes off of them for a half a second. Bored for me is nothing going on in Idaho 4. Well, I keep looking away from the Idaho 4 because I think it is such crap. I think the whole case is such crap. I think there's a lot of fake content creators. I think there's a lot of fake news. I think that whole thing is just infuriating. Mrs. Amir, any siblings on the way? And Annie, he has an 18-year-old big brother, not trying again, though. Oh, Mrs. Amir, do you want to share? Is this a full brother, like that they're 16 years apart, or is this a half brother, or like a step brother? That's a pretty big age span. My kids, 4 of them in 10 years, start with a 2-year age span, and then a 3-year age span, and then a 4.5-year age span between the 2 youngest. Anyway, there's more stuff I wanted to talk about. Where are we at? We're getting close to 45 minutes. So I keep trying to steer it away from the royal family, and it keeps going right back to the royal family because it is a hot topic right now, but I am pretty firm in my opinion that there's a lot of effery going on, and I don't want to be incorrect and talking smack when someone has been really sick and has this terrible diagnosis and prognosis, but the information is so murky and so inconsistent. So again, they're going to send all kinds of troops out onto social media platforms in the streets of YouTube, just like what was seen with the Watts case, you guys, way back in the day when that case first happened 5.5 years ago, slightly over that. A lot of channels were covering the Watts case, right? And then there were a lot of new channels that were sprouting up to cover the Watts case. And then people started to wonder, like, are there some fake content creators? Are there some fake new channels that are just here to steer the narrative? And that gaslighting, a lot of these people that were observing it, and I wasn't observing it back then. I did not really start watching YouTube too much until probably more like 3 years ago. I'm gonna guess, like probably around COVID, right? I bet it was. I bet it was like the Suzanne Morphew case was probably what got me watching true crime. I'm thinking Paula Plunder, um, and I quickly started to watch What's the Obsession because I had seen that Netflix, the Family Next Door, I think is the name of the um, documentary about the Watts case. And I have told you guys again and again, I always tried to not pay attention to the Watts case, just like I've tried to not pay attention to the Maddie Soto case. These cases with the little kids are just so freaking heartbreaking. But then when there's a miscarriage of justice, there's just so much uh, passion to fuel the fire to help find the justice. And with that Watts case, there's been such a resurgence with interest in the case. Again, thanks for Paula Plunder getting that 3 hour and 33-minute interview video released finally after 3 years of trying. I think that was just a year ago that was released to her, and then Frankie Rusek put it on his YouTube channel. Paula has since taken that down. She's taken down a lot of stuff. She's probably been threatened, but I don't want to talk about other content creators and what they might want to keep secret. Or that there's no secrets and that they just, want to do things the way they want to do it. And we are all entitled to do that. Anyway, all of us like to applaud the channel, the content creator Plunder, for getting that video released because that gave us so much more information. And people keep looking at that and talking about that. And then you had Rourke make that video with his wife, and she put it up on her YouTube channel, The Survivor's Guide to True Crime. And, then we all come to find out how Rourke met his wife, which is just creepier than creepy in my professional opinion, and in my humble opinion is just freaking wrong. And the way he mishandled the Watts case. I mean, that man is a hack in my professional, humble opinion, an absolute hack. And he needs to be scrutinized. He needs to be investigated. Like, let's just get to the bottom line. His investigation of, or lack thereof, of the Watts case needs to be investigated. And that would be by a higher authority. That would mean federal agents would be investigating that. That's what should happen, in my opinion. But what is happening is, they put out that interview on his wife's channel, and then they took it down and they made fake allegations of copyright strikes against Plunder and against Behind Criminal Minds. I don't know if they made any other strikes, but both of those strikes were not legit. And the videos are still viewable, and the channel that made those strikes, which is DA Rourke's wife's channel, Kimberly Rourke's channel, that she's the content creator of, should have been reprimanded for making strikes that aren't substantiated. Just like MC Ultra should be getting reprimanded for making strikes that are not substantiated. And she's making a lot more with a lot less substance. So it begs me to question why she still has her channel. And my conspiracy theory is that the people that are in charge of YouTube are very closely aligned with the Hamburglers and Truckee, and they're going to protect people like MC Ultra, plain and simple. So, yeah. And I really want to talk about Kylie Rodney's case. I think that her case needs a resurgence of interest, much the way the Watts case has had a resurgence of interest. I keep articulating how grateful I am for all of the Squirrel Squad and other channels that stay focused on Kylie Rodney, because I stay focused on Kylie Rodney, but I definitely get distracted by a lot of other effery at the same time. So, like the thing with the Beatles, I learned about that well before the Kylie Rodney thing happened. And that Suzanne Morphew case was what probably got me really into true crime on YouTube. And then the Gabby Petito case. And both of those cases, I was so interested in trying to do what I could to help. I still would like to try to do what I can to help. And Kylie Rodney's case has so much unfinished business. In Gabby's case, her horrible ex-fiance played all those shenanigans and I think faked his passing away and, made his confession letter to try to get the heat off of his parents, all that crazy. Um, that case is still not finished. They're still not releasing the freaking body cam from Melissa Hall, the forest ranger, or she a national forest, I think that's her title, forest ranger. Anyway, she was the one female law enforcement that was at the domestic violence 911 call with Gabby and Brian Laundrie right outside of the Delicate Arches. And that body cam footage needs to be released. And there's got to be some very enlightening information in there that they don't want anyone to see, because why would they keep that so secret? Like, yeah, the case might not be complete, but they've released all the other body cam footage from all the other police officers that were there. So why not Melissa Hall? She had a heart-to-heart with Gabby. She took her aside and told her that she thought this was a toxic relationship and that Gabby would be smart, would be wise to get away from it. I'm pretty sure that that's the context of what their conversation was, because you could catch bits and pieces of it on other officers' body cam footage, right? So does Gabby's family have access to that footage? Have they seen it? Have the attorneys seen it? It's mind-boggling. And then with the Suzanne Morphew case, like, that was crazy when her remains were finally discovered. And then we've heard nothing about the case since. Is there going to be a rearrest? Because when they dropped the charges against Barry Morphew last year or 2 years ago, that was the plan, was that they were dropping the charges so that they could have a more solid case down the road. And, you only get one chance to charge someone with red rum. What is it called? Double indemnity. You can't charge someone twice, like, after the remains are found. If you already charged them once before the remains were found, you're done. So, let's see. Bio siblings, ma'am. I've been trying for years, but God had his plans. Oh, Mrs. Amir, that's so thrilling. Congratulations. That is fantastic. And yeah, I understand. It took my husband and I 6 years to get pregnant with our first one, and then 6 years of actively trying. And then we finally gave up, and then we had all these kids, right? They just wouldn't stop coming. I mean, we got really lucky with 4, and people have trouble understanding that we had fertility issues, but we decided we didn't want to do treatment, and we were just throwing in the towel, and then that's when it happens, right? I know treatment can be very invasive, very, very invasive. Hey, don't be hating. Hi, Arl. Sorry I'm late. Just wanted you to know the Epsom salt bath with oils helped a lot. Oh, I'm so delighted to hear that. Yeah, I was really happy to share that information, because that is, like I said, that's been a go-to for me since the mid 90s for stress and just for health, really. And, physical ailments like sore muscles, it's wonderful. But also, if I'm just stressed out in the brain, it's wonderful. So, any and all. You never spun the album backwards to hear Paul is Dead, Paul is Dead. Well, Mary Stredwick, I did. My friends did that in high school, and I just kind of took it in stride, and I kind of thought maybe that the Beatles were just having fun goofing off, which is what they say now. If there's two Beatles that are still with us, right? Ringo's still with us, and then Paul is still with us. George Harrison is not, and obviously John Lennon is not. But there's a lot written about those two and this whole conspiracy too. So yeah, I did hear that, and that's the White Album. I think the White Album is also again, the album cover is completely blank, and that was supposed to be symbolic of some of the secrets and clues, also, as was the backward song. So, um, yeah, thank you so much. Big difference. Oh, I'm so happy to hear. So, yeah, Camphophonique, that was the other one, right? When I like a product, I like to share with people so that other people can enjoy the benefits of it. Like, I mean, that's an old one. Or like I started this video basically advertising for Marie Kondo and her book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I don't think I finished discussing what I wanted to discuss about purging and organizing. And, everything is in constant motion. So, when you're not purging and organizing, things get stagnant and things get stuck psychologically as well as physically. And if you're feeling emotionally stuck, doing some feng shui can start that process of allowing things to move. So, um, yeah. So, what I was talking about with the Watts case and people being sent to the streets of YouTube to control the narrative, I definitely would think that there's going to be a ton of that in the royalty uh, with what's going on over there. But I also think that there's some of that having a resurfacing with the Watts case right now. And I think that there's some of that with the Kylie Rodney case. So, one of the channels that I do really trust, and I'm so happy that she just released a video, I think this morning, and I'll put a link to it in the description. And I had been looking like, has she dropped a video lately? Because it had been a while. That channel I've spoken about several times, Missed in Things. So she had not dropped a video in a while, and then she did. And I really like her sensibility and her straightforwardness. I really appreciate her channel and her content. I feel like there's not enough people like that on YouTube, and that's what I look for. That's what I crave. Um, she spoke about something very concerning, which was that it sounded like she had almost like an anaphylactic um, reaction to some food and medicine that she had taken, and that it almost felt like maybe because she's covering the Watts case. Not so much that anybody did this to her, but she was saying more like a spiritual kind of warfare, I think. And I don't want to quote her because I might have misunderstood. I'll probably watch it a second time because it was really, really deep. But I think that we all need to be cognizant of the fact that there are going to be bad guys, crooks, criminals that will try to control the narrative and shut down content creators that want to talk about these cases that they don't want us to talk about. So, I've mentioned more than once that our home and my life is very fortified with safety features. I've read that book, The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker. I don't know, a handful of times, maybe half a dozen. Really good book, but teaching us how to stay safe and how to trust our intuition, which isn't just about staying safe, it's just about how to live a rich life and how to just trust yourself, trust your instinct. And if I know nothing else, I know that trusting your instinct is the biggest gift that we have. And that's why he titled the book like that, The Gift of Fear. It sounds very counterintuitive until you understand, and he explains in the book why he chose that title. Because we think of fear as something negative and something that we want to avoid. And looking at fear like a gift and embracing it is how we learn from it and how we can utilize it. So it's really a wise change of perspective to look at it that way. Sorry, one of my lights just flashed. That might have looked kind of weird to you guys. It looked kind of weird to me. Um, don't be hating. Says, you are literally speaking to me. That is so cool. Don't you love it when that happens? And I am speaking to you. So, um, yeah, the camphophonique, the stress, the physical pain, the aches and pains, especially like gardening season is coming. And even though I'm in really good yoga condition because I've been doing the yoga training pretty hardcore for like 7 months now, and I'm getting to the point where I can do it every day without dying. Um, but once I get out gardening, it's a monkey wrench because it's all different muscles. So, when you're in really good shape from like riding your bike and then you go for a hike, that's different muscles. Or the reverse, if you're in really good shape from running and then you hop on your bike, you got to be really careful. It's really easy to overdo it. And that is like the biggest caveat of taking care of ourselves and getting a lot of physical activity, or taking care of our garden and doing 10 hours of gardening, or in the fall the 10 hours of raking. When you do that, that's when you tend to hurt yourself, because you think that you're in condition to do it because you're in condition to do other things, but it's all slightly different muscles and different sets of muscles. So be really careful and use your Epsom salt bath. It's very therapeutic. I mean, it's an old remedy for a lot of things. Cinnamon capsules from Amazon changed my life. Like 25% less all over body ache. Way freaking cool, Annie Ruler. I have never heard of cinnamon capsules. That is awesome. I love it. And yeah, should I share with you guys one of the best remedies in the world? It's very personal and private. And so I'm just going to give you a trigger warning. It's nothing gross. It's something all of us ladies have to deal with. Um, Bladder infections and yeast infections. The best remedy, specifically yeast infections, but I think it helps with bladder infections too, is boric acid. And if you're not familiar, boric acid is like, you can buy a jar of this white powder for like $5 at a pharmacy, probably Walmart, maybe Target. I don't know. I bought my one jar literally like 35 years ago, you guys. 35 years ago is when I bought my jar of boric acid, and I still have the same jar. And I always think, well, I'll be running out soon, and it like never runs out. But what you do is you put some in a gel cap. And again, this is where it's kind of like a trigger warning, but I'm just trying to do everyone a huge favor because a lot of us have problems with yeast infections and more people need to know about boric acid. So you insert the gel cap the way you would a tampon and use, like, again, trigger warning, a maxi pad or something, because it can get wet in the nether regions overnight. But you do that a couple nights in a row and you will be cured. And so you guys can thank me later if you've never heard of boric acid. It is a miracle. And tell all your friends. We should all like flood social media with that information because nobody freaking knows about boric acid. And I only got lucky because I happened to talk with a regular physician, a dude who mentioned it to me because he knew that I was into like alternative healthcare. And to him, that was alternative healthcare. And thank goodness he knew, and thank goodness he shared it with me. So I think I was in my mid 20s. So yeah, that was 30 years ago. I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Anyway, cinnamon capsules. Yes. Inflammation. No way, Annie. I got really bad inflammation after the jab. I might try that. Ooh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And the whole thing with the COVID shots, I mean, that can quickly become polarized and political, but that's one I'm okay talking about because it's healthcare, and there are just so many mixed reviews about freaking COVID. Ugh. Flashlight means angels. Don't be hating. So what had happened was, like one of my, what is it called? It's called like a rainbow light. So it's just one of these lights to kind of diffuse the light, and it's actually set on like a fuchsia color, and I have it like facing away and behind things. And so it flashed for a moment, but I'm curious what I was talking about when it flashed because it's plugged in. It shouldn't have flashed. But again, it could just be the technology of it that I've had it plugged in for 4 hours and maybe it flashes after 4 hours. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, I certainly believe in the magic of that type of thing. So I'm open to it. And I might have been talking about the thing with mist and things and her having that anaphylactic reaction to some medicine and food. And, I think that that's why she hadn't done a video in a while, was because of a bunch of things, but that really set her back. It sounded like. Um, Annie, do you have a certain kind you use? And 100% balance is always the goal. Now, cinnamon capsules are OTC and free from many Medicare plans, over the counter. Yeah, and just finding empty gel caps can be tough. So if I can't find empty gel caps, I'll just take like a green tea gel cap and empty it, and then use that gel cap to fill it full of boric acid. Because as you guys know, when I hurt my toe, I had to do a ton of antibiotics, and then I get like a raging yeast infection from the antibiotics. And so I had to resort to my boric acid. And I thought, oh, I should share this with people. People need to know. It's such an amazing remedy. So I used it to reduce cholesterol, started feeling a little better, been sick since 2008. RSD, CRPS, like my a recent trial. Cholesterol went up. I quit cinnamon and back to crap feeling. Huh. Interesting, Annie Ruler. You've got such an amazing life story, lady. I'll tell ya. It's so sad in modern times people still can't talk about this stuff. Well, remember there was like the V monologues that came out 10 or 15 years ago, so people could talk about it. But yeah, I'm shy to talk about it, and I'm not shy to talk about much. You guys know me. I like to just say it like it is. Sunset Salty Sage. Hello, hello. NRG. What is that? Like energy? I like it. Very nice. So yeah, just to fill anybody in who doesn't know, I'm looking at my blank black screen. Instead of, usually when you're videotaping, you see yourself like in the mirror, and it is really weird. It's hard to get used to it. So yesterday was the first time that it worked like this, where I just had a black screen, but I could still see the chat. And I kind of loved it. It was kind of freeing. I was kind of like, maybe I should do this more often. But then the irony was that I had like a little wardrobe malfunction in my jacket. I had it like pinned, and then it came up and my shirt came up and a little piece of my tummy was showing. And I was like, oh no, but it's okay. And then I tried to like blur it out with editing, and it blurred out like weird stuff that I wasn't trying to blur out. So I erased the editing. And I don't know if I'll try to fix it or I'll just leave it as is because you know what? It's fine. Like the YouTube is full of problems and imperfections, and that's part of the beauty of it is just to like humanize yourself and not worry about it. But anyway, how did I get off on that topic? So having the blank screen again today is quite a gift. And so if I'm having a wardrobe malfunction, please let me know. Um, or if my hair is all crazy, because yeah, it's like you're watching yourself on the screen and your hair is fine when you start, and then it starts like doing all kinds of weird stuff and you're just like, dear god. But you don't want to be like looking at yourself messing with it. It's too funny. Anyway, bromelain is at health food store. They say we can eliminate much if the shots. I took none. Shedding day 3 of partners shot. Saw spikes. Age 61 onset. Okay, should I try to read it again, Annie Ruler? You're using all these initials that I'm not sure of. Bromelain is at health food stores. They say we can eliminate much. It says if the shots, but I think you meant of the shots. I took none. Shedding day 3 of partners shot. Pericarditis, SVTS, POS, SOB, cardiology saw spikes, age 61 onset. Yeah, and I know that people who were in remission with cancer had cancer spiked up for a lot of people that had never had a reoccurrence. So Ceylon cinnamon from Amazon is my cinnamon 365 capsules. Cinnamon's supposed to be good for blood sugar regulation too. Good to know. Showing my age. Oh, age is just a number. And aren't we like wine? We get better with age, hopefully. Damn it, I missed the wardrobe malfunction. Sunset Salty Sage, I left the video up. I had edited the wardrobe malfunction out with a blur recommended by Shan, but then it blurred. There was other blurs that were there, so I just deleted all the edits, and so it's still up. You can see the wardrobe malfunction. It's hilarious. It's just this like little triangle. Or is it that way, or is it? It's probably the other way, like that way. With my jacket and my shirt coming up. And like I said, I had no idea because I can't see the screen. So it's like the one day that I can't see the screen, that happens. And I was just laughing so hard. I was just like, oh no, do I need to take this down? But no, I'm gonna leave it up. I'll try to edit out the little peekaboo belly, but no big deal. If it was a worse wardrobe malfunction, then yeah, I'd privatize it until it was fixed. Bromelain is in pineapple. Pineapple's really good. Pericarditis, like myocarditis. Thank you, Annie Ruler. Yeah, wardrobe malfunction. Isn't that so funny? Sunset, yes. Just figured pineapple too much hurts my mouth. Oh, I love pineapple. Yeah, and it's high in sugar too. But yeah, the enzymes in pineapple are really good for a lot of things. You are more embarrassed about tummy showing than farting in class. Well, it's true. I mean, again, I won't let my tummy show in yoga class either. So, I'm very body shy like that after having 4 children and 4 cesareans. Yes, it makes you a little body shy. Maybe after another 10 years of being a yoga instructor, I'll be a little less shy about my tummy showing. But yeah, I used to wear like half shirts before kids. I loved the whole half shirt thing that Britney Spears started, and yeah, ever since I can only do that in the house in privacy of my own home when nobody's around. I don't even like my kids to see my tummy anymore. I mean, I don't want to get a tummy tuck, but yeah, I've certainly thought about it, but I would never waste my time or money on something like that, and I would never do a surgery that's unnecessary because it's so not only expensive but dangerous. Like you can die with a tummy tuck. You can die anytime you go under the knife. You can die anytime, period, right? I mean, life is precarious. We have to take care of ourselves, and taking risks like surgery when it's unnecessary is just a bad idea. And then you'll have trouble farting after your surgery, right? We talked about that last week. So I know that from when I had my cesareans. Like, they gave me medicine in the hospital to get me farting again. I was like, "Are you serious?" They're like, "Yeah, farting is a good thing." And I was like, "Okay, if you say so," but it is. They are correct. LOL, or showing toes. Yeah, I will show you my toes, but you know what? Because I can't see the screen, it's probably not a good idea. I'll probably kick everything over. But I'm excited that my toe is doing so much better. But maybe I'll try to show it to you guys when here. Can you see it right there? I don't know. Because like I said, my screen is just black. And I have like a salve on it. So I'm rubbing the salve. You can still kind of see where the toenail was absolutely crushed right there. And then it's growing back. Oh man, it's so much better than it's been. It's been almost 3 months, you guys. So I like to put light therapy on it, and I still do the Epsom salt baths, and then I do the camphophenique, and I do the salve, and I try to just massage it. I try to keep my feet above my heart, so I need to go do that for the rest of the day while I review some videos and get caught up on my YouTube consumption. What time is it? We're at an hour and 15 minutes, and it's almost 3 o'clock. So, um, LOL, passing gas is good for humans, just not the poor cows. Really? It's not good for cows? That's funny. I didn't know that. Um, don't laugh out loud if Gates said it. We need to reverse. See, I don't pay attention to Gates. I do not pay attention to Gates. I lived in Seattle for a long time, and I just don't even like to go there. I don't like to bring that up, especially with what's been happening with the weird fires like in Maui, and with the weird bunkers that all these extremely wealthy people have been building. And Gates had his bunker out there on Mercer Island, or was it across from Mercer Island? I think it was on Mercer Island. I'm pretty sure. His property in Seattle, and his bunker that was like off the chain, and that was like 20 years ago, you guys. So I can't imagine what he's got now. And didn't he hang out with Epstein? Didn't he? I think he did. Yikes. Is it good for cows, but environmental extremists want to stop cow farts? Right, because it's bad for the ozone, they say, right? And yeah, I know Gates is trying to get everybody to eat vegetarian, which, to each their own. I mean, nobody should be telling anybody what to eat. It's a free freaking country, especially in this country. Gates is on the flight logs. Yep. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Yeah. Whew. Craziness. Crazy, crazy, craziness. And Gates had a GF on Epstein, I think age 25, 28 was recited. I don't know what you mean by GF, like girlfriend. Gates had a girlfriend on Epstein, I think age 25 to 28 was recited. I don't know what you're talking about. Annie, did you mean recited or did you mean redacted? Gates also said we have a population problem. Gates is a population problem, in my humble opinion. Goodness gracious. I mean, him and his wife, he married his assistant, he married his secretary. And you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to date people at work. Give me a break. And she was a rich employee too, because she was one of the first 75 Microsoft employees. So Melinda was loaded on her own, aside from marrying the owner of the company. But yeah, you're not supposed to date your boss, people. We all know this, right? Um, there's too many of us, then bought up a lot of farmland. Said there's too many of us and then bought up a lot of farmland. Isn't that creepy AF? Yeah. Yes, sunset. Very scary. Yeah. NUS girlfriend. Thank you, Annie Ruler. I mean, they tell lies. So was his girlfriend in 20s? Right. I mean, did he ever have a girlfriend before Melinda, before, he dated his employee? Because, I mean, talk about nerds. He was like the nerd of all nerds and still is. But then being a nerd became cool, right? We can thank Weezer for that, I think, and Bill Gates. I mean, if you look at U.S. Navy map projected for 2030, where a lot of U.S. is in the drink, the land that's above water he bought up. Holy kaboli, sunset. Wow, blowing my mind. That's wild. Because you guys know my son is serving in the Navy right now, so he'd be privy to all this. If you look on Epstein Island, he claims he visited a 25 to 28-year-old girlfriend. Or was it 25 to 8-year-old girlfriends? Sorry. I didn't say that. I'm going to edit that out. I just watched that In the Dark mini series yesterday and the day before. So Ara and Shan had recommended it. I highly recommend it. It's really hard to watch. Like, take your barf bucket with you. It's 4 1-hour episodes, I think, and it's about the Nickelodeon scandals. And really, the best part, I mean, the worst part and the best part is it Josh Drake? Is that his name, or was that the name of the TV show? But the actor who was abused, he's wearing like a green sports jacket and a green button-up shirt, and he tells his story, and his father tells his side of it. It's towards the end. It's probably in like the fourth and final episode. Maybe it's also in the third. I can't remember. I just finished it yesterday. I watched the first 2 over the weekend, or like the first 1.5, and then I was just like, I was having a hard time watching it. I was like, I can't. After 1, I was just like, I can't. But then I got through half of the second one, and then I got through the rest of the second one, I think yesterday, and then I just powered through all of it because it's important for people to know WTF. So that's why I made that comment. I just want to explain it doesn't have anything to do with the person. It has to do with what I just saw with that Nickelodeon crap. I'm cool with nerds, just not the ones that want to control the world. Well, and it's all about power and control. Any kind of victimization and abuse of power and dating your employees and the casting couch, all of that is power and control, and it's just disgusting. It almost has nothing to do with like getting your rocks off. It's all about power and what they say, the power is intoxicating, and money is all about power. I dated a UDT SEAL. Interesting. Yeah, one of my son's good friends is in that training. Yes. And Jazz, I'm listening, totally doing the closet clean out right now, CB. You heard the part earlier about the Conde, what is it called? Marie Kondo, and the life-changing magic of tidying up. And remember, if it doesn't spark joy, it's out. Oh, I didn't finish that thought. How you make your piles of the things that you're keeping, the things you're getting rid of, and your maybe pile. And I'm pretty sure it's her that says that almost everything that ends up in your maybe pile should go. that if it's not like 100% that you want to keep it, you probably just need a minute to then work with it and let it go. So just a rule of thumb, it's always good to have flexibility and trust your own judgment with that. But yeah, I've been cleaning out my closets. It feels so good. It's almost addictive, but it's also exhausting, and it's an emotional process. So I keep trying to like say, okay, I'm coming to a place where I can not do that. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm almost done. Let me just do one more closet. Because if we add up all the closets in our house, there's a lot. And then, with the boys changing rooms, and it's just a lot, a lot. Josh and Drake. So yeah, I forget which of the actors, the thinner one, because I never watched that show. So Josh and Drake, Nickelodeon. It's so sad, but it's so good that he's telling his story. So Drake Bell addresses Josh Peck rumor. Um, so I think it's Drake Bell is the kid that is also the musician. So he was an actor. And so Josh breaks his silence 5 days ago about the revelations in Quiet on Set. Very interesting. So yeah, this is all real current. Um, and Drake Bell did such an amazing job of sharing his story. And it's so empowering for his own healing, but he's giving a voice to other people in that situation that don't have a voice. It's like making me all teary eyed because it's so freaking awesome when people can do that for themselves and for others. Yes. Poor Amanda Bynes, totally 100%. 100%. And yeah, a lot of the people from these sets didn't want to talk, understandably. Because if you ever want to work in Hollywood again, you better keep your mouth shut, right? I mean, that's terrible, but it's probably almost entirely true, unfortunately. Hopefully that can change. And, with the talking about same sex abuse, it's great that he could come out with that, and great that he had a girlfriend whose mother was able to identify what was going on with him. Like, what an amazing girlfriend's mother. Like, applaud her. She really helped him a lot. And then his own mom was the one who called the police and got the whole thing going with the legal aspect. But as so often happens, his perp got like 16 months for what should have been like a life sentence. But that was because of his connections and his money, most likely, in my opinion. Oh, I didn't do my whole thing, did I? My disclaimer statement. I knew I was missing something. It's a good thing I thought of that before wrapping up. Everything I've said in this video has just been an opinion of my own and nobody else's. Everything that I say hoping to spark a conversation, spark joy, to use Marie Kondo's phrase. I'm always trying to learn something and hoping that I can be an educational component of the viewers. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for supporting me with your time and attention. And every video that I've made to date has been for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. I finally have gotten a couple of cash apps on my description of my channel, and I'm working on the membership thing. So, I've been monetized for a little bit. I am just getting that baby off the ground so that I don't have to distract myself with other sources of income, and I can just focus more on creating content that is meaningful to me and meaningful to the people that decide that they're going to watch my content when there's like a gazillion others to choose from. So I really appreciate your guys' time and attention. Thank you so much for being here. I think it's getting time to wrap up. We're about an hour and a half. Oh, but Squirrels is here. Squirrels! Woohoo! Okay, where did I leave off? Poor Amanda Bynes. Like what are unwilling to surrender for your fame. Yes. Yeah. Listening on my way home. La la, hello girl. Nice to see you. Awesome. Oh, I'm so glad to see who's coming in. And I'm just 5 minutes behind you guys. So, let's see. Eating while I listen. Woohoo! Squirrel almost passed out. Which squirrel? The one behind me? Oh no, that squirrel's fine. You squirrel? I don't know which one you're talking about. Yes, but some sentimental things. LOL. Yeah, sentimental is rough. You got to keep the stuff that's sentimental. But yeah, you don't want to keep things just because they were like a gift or just because you think you're supposed to keep it. Only keep the things you want to keep. Don't do it under obligation. That's really bad for your mojo, baby. It's all about the mojo. Thank goodness you're okay, Squirrels on Fire. Jeez. Oh, did you almost pass out on your live, girl, from like the fumes? I would imagine that that slinging ink has some fumes, huh? Can't run a motor without fuel or oh, because you were so hungry. Yeah, I can't let myself get too hungry. The blood sugar gotta keep it steady. That's why I'm always saying eat your protein, eat your protein, eat your protein, because protein and fat will stabilize your glycemic index. So fat is a good thing. If we eat a fat-free diet or like fat-free milk or any kind of fat-free dairy products, fat-free anything, that spikes your glycemic index. You need the fat, you need the protein to keep the glycemic index more stable, to keep it from spiking. Um, Money is evil, squirrels. It certainly can be. I mean, you see it really change people. Absolutely. And yeah, like looking at the whole thing with the Nickelodeon, uh, all that was about money. You know, people utilizing their power and their influence to control people with money. And a lot of people use money to control. It's gross. Evil occultic, uh, I'm not sure what that is. Evil occultic something magic equals money. Yeah. I mean, money can be evil, but money can also be a really good thing. I mean, when people are generous and want to use their money for good, that's a wonderful thing. Or just using it to stay on top of your bills and stay ahead of things, right? A young man I attended his prosecuting his abusive uncle, age 25, saw more victims press charges, said embarrassed about male on male, and realized more victims because he didn't say something. Exactly. It's been a I think it used to be a lot harder for people to admit that kind of same sex abuse because they were afraid that people would think that they were into that, you know. If they identified themselves as heterosexual but they had been victimized by same-sex abuse, they'd be really even more ashamed and embarrassed about it. Also, I think that men can be even more ashamed and embarrassed about being victimized because it's awful for anybody, but men are socialized to believe that men don't get victimized. So then if they are victimized or when they're victimized, is just that much more challenging. And it's the worst. I mean, it is absolutely the worst. I'm so fortunate I've never been victimized in that sense. But the victimization that I suffered with the carbon monoxide poisoning attempt on my life is very much of a mind F to admit to yourself that you've been victimized. Like it took me decades to be able to embrace that because I was just like, I'm not a victim. I am not a victim. And it doesn't matter if you have that attitude or not, anybody can be victimized. Anybody. And it doesn't say anything about you. It says something about the perpetrator being a freak. So, what's so terrible in cases like what happened there on the Quiet on Set show and the ending of the perpetrator getting sentenced to 16 months in jail when they should have gotten a life sentence, um, that happens all too often in um, abuse cases of the intimate type. And you know, I've had clients that have pressed charges in court, and that was even more traumatizing than the assaults that they suffered. And I hate to say that because I don't want to discourage anybody from seeking justice through the justice system, but just to prepare yourself and to know that is entirely possible. And it used to be a lot more prolific, that even just recounting your story to like hospital staff or to law enforcement was also kind of a re-victimizing and re-traumatizing, because people would not respond appropriately, and they'd be like, well, what were you wearing, or what were you doing there that late at night, or why were you by yourself, how come you didn't have a friend with you, just saying the wrong thing. It's like, maybe even without intending, people are blaming the victim again and again, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that you got away from the situation alive, and what matters is getting justice. So if you can get justice through the judicial system, do it. Absolutely do it. It is a very empowering process, even if you don't get the results that you're hoping for. Still, you got to fight the good fight, not to sound cliche, but knowing that you stood up for yourself, I think, is extremely important. I think it's good to picture yourself at the end of your life looking back, and how do you want to narrate your life story? Did you just accept something and run for cover, or did you fight back? I think that you've got to decide for yourself what is the best approach, and it's going to be different for different people at different points in their lives based on so many variables. But it's on all of us to take care of ourselves, to utilize the resources that we have, whether that's friends, family, professionals, the judicial system, and just know that you're the one you have to answer to. And how do you want to answer to yourself, like on your deathbed, so to speak? What kind of world are you willing to allow around you? And what are you going to do to try to help make it a better place for yourself and for your kids? That bad uncle got 26 years in Pierce County, Washington. His father, 5 years prior, got 25.5 from putting a knife in mom to unalive. Wow. How long ago is that? I'll have to look up the case, Annie Ruler. This uncle got 6 months for victim, 3 prosecution, so nephew stepped up. Yeah. It's so important to speak up for yourself and inspire others to speak up for themselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. So on that, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thanks so much again for being here, me and my blank screen, my tabla rusa. Again, hopefully no wardrobe malfunctions today. And if you want to see the wardrobe malfunction from yesterday, it's still up. I haven't privated it. And I did do your suggestion, Shan, but then I undid it because it didn't do it right. So I'm going to try it again. But I'm also not that worried about it. It's kind of just funny. Just take it in stride. Told judge victim advocate to watch sentencing. Previous judge would hide file to hide court dates. Influential, now ex-father-in-law. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Oh, thanks, Bex. You're so nice. Great live, Justice. See you later. Thanks for saying that. That's really sweet. So you guys have a lovely afternoon. I hope that you can get some rest and relaxation, some fresh air, some sunshine, and some exercise. Eat well, high protein, high produce, especially veggies. I have not been doing so well on my veggies lately, I must confess, but I will continue to plug away at it. And especially juicing. I have carrot juice. I'll go drink my carrot juice right now. I actually like carrot juice. And yes, what else? Light and love, you guys. You're the bomb. Thanks so much for being here. And tomorrow, probably afternoon videos Actually, wait. What I said videos meaning tomorrow and the next day. Today's the 26th. So yeah, tomorrow afternoon, but then probably not a video on Thursday. So just to prepare you for that. So we'll see how it goes for a tomorrow afternoon. Video is probably the next time I will do a live, and we'll see if I can get the blank screen fixed up. But it is awesome. I like talking to the blank screen. I like not worrying about what's going on with my crazy hair and all that stuff and my crazy wardrobe malfunctions. All right, you guys, peace out. Have a lovely day. Love and light.